So we are reading this, An Open Heart by the Dalai Lama. We are at chapter 9, Cultivating Equanimity, and it's page 109 that we're starting to read from. To feel true compassion for all beings, we must remove any partiality from our attitude towards them. Our normal view of others is dominated by fluctuating and discriminating emotions. We feel a sense of closeness towards loved ones, towards strangers or acquaintances. We feel distant. Oh, this is why this is the type of reason I think needs to be used for racists. And then, for those individuals whom we perceive as hostile, unfriendly or aloof, we feel aversion or contempt. The criterion for our classifying people as friends or enemies seems straightforward. If a person is close to us or has been kind to us, he or she is a friend. If a person has caused us difficulty or harm, he or she is a foe. Mixed with our fondness for our loved ones are emotions such as attachment and desire that inspire passionate intimacy. Mixed with our fondness for our loved ones are emotions such as attachment and desire that inspire passionate intimacy. It's not attachment in the sense of like Western child psychology attachment, but it's similar. Similarly, we view those whom we dislike with negative emotions such as anger or hatred. Consequently, our compassion towards others is limited, partial, prejudicial, and conditional by whether we feel close to them or not. Or not. Genuine compassion must be unconditional. We must cultivate equanimity in order to transcend any feelings of discrimination and partiality. One way doesn't mean you lose your mind. Compassion doesn't mean you become a doormat. It doesn't mean you become aware of why someone else is in pain and therefore their pain becomes more important than reason or common sense. One way to cultivate equanimity is to contemplate the uncertainty of friendship. First, we must consider that there is no assurance that our close friend today will remain a friend forever. Similarly, we can imagine that our dislike for someone will not necessarily continue indefinitely. Such reflections diffuse our strong feelings of partiality, undermining our sense of immutability for our attachments. So, workplace is really good for this, isn't it? The first people you meet are often not the people you end up hanging out with. We can also reflect upon the negative consequences of our strong attachment to friends and hostility towards enemies. Our feelings for a friend or a loved one sometimes blind us to certain of his or her aspects. Our feelings for a friend or loved one sometimes blind us to certain aspects. We project a quality of absolute desirability, absolute infallibility upon that person. Then, when we see something contrary to our projections, we are stunned. We swing from the extreme of love and desire to disappointment, repulsion, and sometimes even anger. Even that sense of inner contentment and satisfaction in a relationship with someone we love can lead to disappointment, frustration, and hatred. Though strong emotions, like those of romantic love or righteous hatred, may feel profoundly compelling, their pleasure is fleeting. From a Buddhist point of view, it's far better not to be in the grip of such emotions in the first place. What are the repercussions of becoming overpowered by intense dislike? The Tibetan word for hatred, shidang, suggests hostility from the depths of one's heart. There is a certain irrationality in responding to injustice or harm with hostility. Our hatred has no physical effect on our enemies. It does not harm them. Rather, it is who it is we who suffer the ill consequences of such overwhelming bitterness. It eats us from within. With anger, we slowly begin to lose our appetite, or not. Increase your appetite, in my case. We cannot sleep at night and often end up just rolling back and forth all night long. It affects us profoundly while our enemies continue along blissfully unaware of the state we have been reduced to. 5 minutes. Free of hatred or anger, we can respond to actions committed against us far more effectively. If we approach things with a cool head, we see the problems more clearly and judge the best way to address it. For example, if a child is doing something that could be dangerous to himself or to others, such as playing with matches, we can discipline him. When we behave in such a forthright manner, there is a far greater chance that our actions will hit the mark. The child will respond not to our anger, but to our sense of urgency and concern. This is how we come to see that our true enemy is actually within us. It is our selfishness, our attachment, and our anger that harm us. Our perceived enemy's ability to inflict harm on us is really quite limited. If someone challenges us and we can muster the inner discipline to resist retaliating, it is possible that no matter what the person has done, those actions do not disturb us. On the other hand, when powerful emotions like extreme anger, hatred, or desire arise, they create disturbance the moment they occur within our minds. They immediately undermine our mental peace and create an opening for unhappiness and suffering to undo the work of our spiritual practice. As we work at developing equanimity, we can consider that the very notions of enemy and friend are changeable and dependent upon many factors. No one is born our friend or enemy, and there isn't even a guarantee that relatives will remain friends. Friend and enemy are defined in terms of people's towards us and their treatment of us. Friend and enemy are defined in terms of people's toward us and their treatment of us. I don't understand that sentence. Those whom we believe to have affection for us, to love and care for us, we generally regard as a friend and a loved one. Just give me a second, Emma, I'll put your chair up. Those whom we believe to have ill will and harmful intentions towards us are our enemies. We therefore view people as friends or enemies based on our perception of thoughts and emotions they harbour towards us. That's really interesting. We therefore view people as friends or enemies based on our perception of the thoughts and emotions they harbour towards us. So nobody is essentially our friend or essentially our enemy, because it's all based on our perceptions. Well, for me, because I'm in quarantine, I'm not really seeing anybody, and I haven't really got anything to say to anyone. I'm not really reaching out to anyone, and it's quite easy for my mind to start believing that because no one's contacting me, or I'm very rarely hearing from people that there's somehow something going on, like they're annoyed with me or something. So perceptions are everything, really. Our perceptions of what's going on. Look, you're really doing my head in. We often confuse the actions of a person with the actual person. We confuse the actions of a person with the actual person. This habit leads us to conclude that because of a particular action or statement, a person is our enemy. Yet people are neutral. They are neither friend nor enemy. I have to think about that. Buddhist nor Christian, Chinese nor Tibetan. As a result of circumstances, the person we hold in our sights could change and become our closest friend. The thought, oh, you used to be so mean to me in the past, but now we are such good friends, is not inconceivable. Right, I'll stop there because that's 10 minutes and I've got to put Emma's chair up.